How about so many fucking bags? I always find an excuse to get myself a new bag every couple of years. Actually, this latest one that I had, which was my daily, actually lasted me the longest I think of any bag. I think I've had this for 2-3 years maybe, which is kind of nuts. I still reuse a lot of my old bags for other stuff, just because, you know, if I can still repurpose it for something else, I'd much rather do that than get rid of it or something. I wanted something small, I wanted something light, something that didn't enable me to carry around too much extra Baba Booey. Because if you're anything like me, if you have the space, you're just gonna find some way to use it. And I was going to go on a trip, and I knew I was going to be doing a ton of walking, and I wanted something to let me carry stuff, but not too much stuff. So I ended up picking up this Peak Design 3-liter sling bag, and I really like it, but there's some stuff that's really annoying about it that you might want to know before you actually buy this thing. In terms of materials, this is by far the best of any of the bags that I've ever really used. So that makes the price a little easier to swallow. This retails for MSRP of 80 bucks. So a little pricey for what you're getting, but there's not a whole lot of competition in this size. But this is excellent in terms of build quality. There's some stuff that is less nice. This pocket is really annoying to get into just because you have to kind of go in and over. This, because this flap is just so unnecessarily, in my opinion, big. But you really have to kind of jam yourself in there, which right now, since the bag's empty, not that big a deal, but once you have stuff in here, this becomes way more annoying to do. Absolutely love this clasp. It's so hard to undo unless you very deliberately make a choice to undo it yourself. Anyway, the annoying part about it is that adjusting the size of it, right now it's empty, so it's really easy to extend or tighten up. I think you can lengthen it okay when you have it on, but tightening is just really annoying. Probably the biggest fallacy, you only get a single divider. And don't get me wrong, this is the best divider I've ever used in any sort of camera bag. Way better than the pieces of garbage I got with the Brevity Jumper. But man, it really would have made the price a lot easier to swallow if they gave you 2 of those things, just because that would have helped me organize this way better. Inside here, there's a small compartment, which is realistically, I mean, it seems like it's designed for camera batteries, and that's exactly what I used it for. But once you have the batteries in there, you're really not gonna fit much else in here. If you try to, it's just going to start protruding into the main compartment. Yes, it's useful, but think of it really as dedicated battery storage, or if you're not using any batteries, this would be perfect for sunglasses or something like that. Inside, the things that you do get, you get these small little side pockets, which I totally filled up. I had a AC wall adapter. On the other side, I had a bunch of cables. I think I had a total of 3 USB cables, a USB SD card reader. It was just completely full. The main big compartment, it's a pretty good size, but if you have a bigger camera and a bigger lens, you can fit it in here, but it's going to completely take up all the space available in there. And you can't really fit it vertically. I mean, you can try to, but the zipper is going to really not want to do that, just because it's a little bit too tall. So the only way you could maybe get a big lens like this with a big body is by having them separate in the bag and then putting them together after. You're probably going to want to stick to smaller lenses. I think the body's fine, it's just that this lens is so big. When I was on my trip, I did take a smaller camera anyway, which is the one I'm using now, the Fujifilm X-E4. I had a small pancake lens on that. Of course, it was super easy to put in here. I had one side of the divider just dedicated for the camera. The other side was a cluster because of course I only had one. I had a gigantic battery, I had a second lens, I had a DJI Pocket 2, I had sunglasses usually. Some other stuff I'm sure that I can't even remember right now, but that side was just filled with a bunch of miscellaneous stuff just because I had no good way of organizing that. This would have been probably completely solved if they gave you a second divider. but they don't. So I guess you're just gonna have to get over that. That's basically it. You don't have any additional compartments. The material, again, feels great. It's very rough and sturdy. As you can see, I haven't cleaned this from my trip. I took a tumble in some mud, and I didn't clean this fully, just to show that I actually use this for quite a bit. I think this is a pretty damn good bag. You can fit some stuff at the bottom and you get these little straps, but for me, that was just a little bit cumbersome, and the whole point of me taking this was to have a small bag. Anyway, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If any of this was useful, subscribe to the channel. It's good to be back, y'all. Have a good day.
Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked him. Can't convince me that it didn't happen. Fed them to tigers, they snacking. What's happening? Carol Baskin.